No biggie, just talking fantasy. Sneaky Joe entered the chat here for our pre-draft special.
So many fond memories of the years we all spent together with the two of you talking about this nonsense.
You know, nonsense. The draft is super important for fantasy, too. I mean, we're trying to figure out landing spots here, Joe, and who the 102 might deserve to be in a rookie draft, which will all start, not all, but the week after. I know I'll have 15 rookie drafts starting like May 3rd.
Yeah, this is a good running back year, too. So
yes.
Well, better than last year at the very least.
Leaving the show.
Yeah. You're not interested in who's the 102?
I'm still here. Just go ahead.
Who's the 102? Come on.
For me, it's Hampton. Because I'm assuming Hampton goes to Denver or someplace where he is like almost an every down player.
Sure. Dallas, maybe.
Maybe even Dallas.
Yeah.
He's the 102 for me. Mm-hmm. There's some Hunter.
Well, the Hunter thing is also unique right now because if you had a draft today, drafting him at 102 isn't just how good is he and where does Hampton go. It's, do you want to take a guy that might never play offense? And then you can never play him in fantasy.
But he will play offense.
Yeah, he will.
Don't you think?
He'll play offense, but what happens if after 6 weeks his coach decides it's too much for him?
He said he won't play football.
But, come on.
If he can't do both.
Right.
But he's going to follow through on that. That's a thing you say now, and if week 8 he might also decide it's too much for him at some point in time. He could do that at any point. After 1 year, like the idea that he'll do it his whole career, I hope he's able to do it. It's super interesting. But if 2-3 years go by even, like, is it going to be 10 years of him playing both, or is it going to be 1? Is it going to be 2? Is it going to be 6 weeks? It would be a lot of uncertainty for me to...
I would never, ever bet on it being a long period of time. I think if he's as good a receiver as it seems most everyone thinks he's going to be, then you're going to get pretty... It's going to be like using your best receiver as a kick returner, only way worse. Like, there's going to be a point in time where you're going to go... All right, I just need to limit his exposure to, stepping wrong on some crappy turf.
Right.
Like, all that kind of stuff. Like, the number of snaps, it's one thing to do that in college. I just think in the NFL, the value that, you're paying a guy to be your number one receiver, you're not going to want him, I'm going to say, fooling around on defense.
Yeah, that would be a good point. I just wonder, I hope he's able to do it so bad. It's just one injury or one coach. Like, give a coach an excuse to pull him off one side of the ball. I think you're right, though, that if he does get pulled off one side of the ball, might, again, depend on the coach, that he'll get pulled off of defense, not offense.
Right. The Browns, who are, despite sometimes their best efforts, never good or fun, they pick Hunter at 2 almost definitely. The markets 2 weeks ago were on Abdul Carter at number 2.
Yeah.
Now it's like clearly Travis Hunter. They're going to do that, and then they're going to trade in for Sanders.
Yeah, and pair them together.
And pair them together, and they'll have Journey at the draft party on the field, and they'll have Travis Hunter and Shadur Sanders, and maybe some of the Watson stink dissipates. Maybe it won't work, but nothing has ever worked really that well for them. This is a fun and, I think, credible strategy for the Browns.
Yeah.
And I think they can get to Sanders, Joe.
They could.
We don't know that yet.
You're worried about Pittsburgh, aren't you? If you're Cleveland, in that plan, that's getting above 21 if the Steelers like him. I mean, they also like Jalen Milroe, reportedly, right? So, and they don't have a second-round pick. So that would be the risk of it, is he falling not even to where you are, to where you could get a trade up? Because if you got to go to, if you're the Browns and you think Pittsburgh likes him, and I got to go to 19, what is that going to cost me to go from one of the first picks of round 2 to 19?
Oh, yeah.
Am I spending an extra... I'm not drafting a future first or spending a future first, I think, to go up that high.
According to the draft tech chart, it's your second and your third.
Okay.
But doesn't that sound light?
It sounds light to me.
Go from 33 to 20?
Yeah.
That sounds light, but...
I think it's probably more than that.
That's about what the numbers look like, maybe a little more. They do have a ton of draft capital, the Browns.
Yeah.
Raise a banner, I guess, but they always do. All right, Joe, so the Bills thing, you and I haven't spoken. We haven't had you to talk to this, about. But it does seem pretty straightforward. Last hour got to a point where it's like the draft is just going to come to the Bills. their corner, defensive tackle, that kind of stuff. Do you see them? What would the odds be for you that they do something unexpected the first 2 rounds?
Very, very slim. Part of it is unexpected for them isn't that many things compared to past seasons. Like, unexpected would be what? That would be if they draft a wide receiver at 30, probably, right? That would be unexpected. Really, actually, anything on offense would be unexpected in the first round. If they drafted a linebacker, that would be unexpected.
Running back at 30.
Running back, yep. Everything else is like, okay, yeah, sure. Defensive tackle, sure. Defensive end, sure. Safety, even, I think, wouldn't be like the most flooring thing ever if they were to do that. So, to me, it's not really that likely. It's pretty low. Other than, a trade up for them isn't that unexpected either.
Right.
It would be if they moved up a large amount of picks to get something. And I don't know who that guy is. Last year, I fell in love with the idea of doing that for a receiver, but I don't have a guy for that this year for any position on defense unless Will Johnson from Michigan starts tumbling down the board and they move up 10 spots. Maybe that could be a corner. I think it's going to be about what we expect. There's nothing out of left field that I could even really see them doing that would make sense, other than if I qualify receiver for that, I don't want to rule out, like, if Luther Burden or they have a guy that they love. I don't know how many there are because of the class.
Right, it would need to be a guy that is like the prototypical, he was just jumping off the board at us. Like, we had such a high grade on him that we couldn't ignore it.
But I think that would have to be a receiver because everything else to me seems like, oh yeah, they would do that in round 1. And I don't think running back's within the realm of possibility. So,
which of these ideas would give them the best chance of winning a championship?
Probably landing the stud receiver.
I think yes.
Landing the stud receiver.
Every time we talk about defensive tackle, I'm like, so what? What does it mean?
Right.
So I know how flippant that is to say. I'm not blind to that, but I think I still want a playmaker because they don't have any. They just don't. They don't have playmakers on that offense. They had a great season with that, but I don't know. That's where I get to also, and I love Burden. I think he's the one.
I would want to give them credit for. I think they have playmakers that when they have the ball in their hands, maybe not on the elite level, but like Shakir creates yards after the catch.
He's good. Yes.
And like I don't want to bank on that for Samuel, but in theory Samuel gives you that too. But for me, they're missing a specific type of playmaker, which is just downfield passing. That's it. Like I can't really point to anything else on offense that they are severely lacking at, but. Allen was third. Allen surprising to me. These stats about him and the deep ball. He was 26 in efficiency, but he was still third in deep ball attempts. Like he still does want to sling the ball down the field. Some of that's volume, but. Part of that is think of the plays that worked down the field last year. It's the AFC Championship game where Matt Collins is got a guy draped all over him, and it takes a perfect throw for that to be a touchdown. It's Cooper in the Jet game where same thing. He's not getting open. He has to make a spectacular catch because there's a corner right there. There's no speed guy that is making anybody worried on defense. I would want... I think the other stat was that they saw one of the lowest rates of too high safety shell last year, which has not been the case with Josh Allen, this Bills offense. I think you want to get defenses back into that.
Yeah, boy, our lives have changed a lot. But like after the 2020 AFC title game, speed was I need speed.
Yeah,
everywhere on both sides of the ball, and I don't think they've gotten anywhere near it yet.
Yeah, that would be unexpected to me. Part of how they talk, and it follows up with how they act, which is what does Brandon Beane say every single time he gets asked about adding speed to the offense?
We're going to have a track guy. We need a complete football player.
Which I'm not even saying that's not defendable.
Sure.
But if you conduct yourself that way, you're never going to get the speed guy because there are going to be teams every year that say, we can make him into a good football player. I'm falling in love with the track speed. So that's not to say that's better process. It just means you'll never get that guy.
It's pretty condescending. Like he does use that track line. He just like we're above that. Is basically what he's saying. We're above those players, and that's worthy,
right?
Isn't it?
Yeah.
He. I think it might be fair to say like he felt the Bills were above that, and here's Kansas City coming for him, and then of course I want to say making it work. So I mean, I guess I would say I think the bottom line is still their offense was very successful.
Sure.
They played a power style. They, I would guess, feel the same way as they did last year about this. Mm-hmm. And thus, they're not going to do this thing. There might be a wide receiver on Saturday, but despite the Bills hitting twice on day 3 receivers in Gabe Davis and then Shakir, the odds are not great there. And those are not players that usually displace, your starters or even like your sort of B group, so to speak.
Yeah.
So defense can sort of land in their laps, and they'll fill holes, and they'll get a lot of credit.
Yep.
And maybe that's okay.
Yep. The only other question I would have for them on offense is what do they think about the turnovers? Because they were amazing, historically great at limiting negative plays and especially turnovers last year. Do they think that that's going to regress? Because it is going to be insanely difficult for them to repeat not having a fumble for the final 10 games of the season.
And to take it away like they did, too. Like
and to take it away.
Both ends of that are due for some, toward the mean.
So if you get regression towards the mean on that, where are you going to make it up? And I want Joe Brady, and whenever he talks to Brandon Beane, to be saying that, or to have that on his mind. Like, we're probably going to turn the ball over 5 to 10 more times than we did last year. So if we want to be as good as we were on offense, then that means we have to make that up somewhere else. And defense, I think that should definitely be true, because if they weren't taking the ball away last year, they were a bottom 10 defense in the NFL. And I'd have a bet on that.
Look who's in the room.
Yeah.
Get that lateral thing off the board over there, will you? That's over.
Well, I can't erase it.
That's what I said. They couldn't.
I tried.
Because I called that out. Yeah, Mike said it
probably
won't
what
come
I need
off.
to do is commit the time, and how much time? It's 3 minutes to tracing the letters with the marker and then go in and erase it.
I'll tell you, if never find that time. What's more depressing than spending time doing that?
What you should tell them is, don't worry, Bulldog will do it for you. Because I will.
Have you used the spray?
If we can now get that, if I'm cleared to get that off of there, I will do it.
The spray?
Have you tried the spray?
Is the spray even over there anymore?
Who knows where the spray is?
I have not seen the spray.
The spray might be behind Gene's territory.
It really might be. Yeah.
I've used the spray.
There's got to be. If it's not behind him, it can't be in the room anymore. It could be behind the wide receiver big board. It is back there?
It's actually in his pocket, which is weird because he's a cardboard cutout.
So the challenge with the spray, there's a dry erase board, and it's years long. These things have been up there. The challenge is having it not drip into the bets underneath it, and then also like disrupting. So you got to be quick. It's a two-hand job.
Pretty compact.
Yeah, spray it on the paper towel is what you need to do.
Oh, I never thought of that.
That's a much better move. I think.
I would just use the eraser.
Yeah.
What about running back in this draft for you?
I'm intrigued by it. I have, speaking of bets, I don't know if it's up there because, again, I don't know if we have room. We do have it. It is up there. What the Bills will draft earlier, running back or linebacker. I have that bet with Jeremy, and I have running back. And part of that to me is just they have a lot of picks, and James Cook's future past this year is a question. And if they want to get ahead of it at all, this is a great running back class. I don't think it's so easy, though, as doing it on especially like day 2 of the draft. I think if they're going to draft a running back, I'm not thinking about that until at least 4, probably more likely 5 or 6, if they even want a taste of it. Because how do you make it work numbers-wise? I can make a good argument that get ahead of it and draft a running back now because this might be the final year of James Cook.
Where am I putting him?
Right. Now he's on the team. Now what? They're not getting 4 game day jerseys, so you could just be okay with him having a redshirt season. But I don't know how likely that is.
I think the only scenario, my opinion is that the only scenario that would see them take a running back as early as any time on day 2 is that they think Cook's not coming, like that they're really worried about Cook, or that they have something in place to do that before the draft or at the draft. I just think it would be an alarm that. Like, we're worried about this. Yeah. Otherwise, I don't think that there's, even in a deep class, I just don't know that you got a place to put a guy.
Yeah, they had Jaden Blue from Texas in on a visit recently, but I haven't seen them connected to any other running back for any other thing.
I can't wait to find out because I feel differently. I think now there's the politics with Cook and even Ty Johnson or Ray Davis. Like, you have that to factor into the equation. But I am convinced that there are 20 to 25 running backs here, and even the last of them would fit in fine in an NFL offense. Like, they're going to belong on the field. So if somebody comes in and competes with Ty Johnson, I mean, he made plays for them, and I'm not ignoring that, but I think that the Bills could see that as a win. And last year maybe makes you forget how many injuries there are at this position. Like, you don't have to think of it as a red shirt. You can think of it as insurance. I'm going to draft Bashal Tutin in the 4th round here, or Giddens, or one of these guys, Damian Martinez. And, people are going to come on our show and be like, I love that. He was a top 5 back for me, athletic freak, on and on and on. And I don't know, like, the Bills don't exactly have the same point about how much room they have for backups on the roster applies to other positions too. So they're not going to, if they keep all these picks round 4, round 5, they're going to draft somebody with them. And I think running back, irrespective of Cook, because, he's not big and he's been productive, but he might, be tough contractually. I still think they could or should do it. Again, regardless of what they think his future is.
I mean, 10 picks, what would their odds be of getting one? No matter where
better than 50-50.
Like, because I was going to say about that.
Right?
No, I was going to say about that. Like, I can see them picking a day 3 guy. I just you asked earlier about like them doing something unexpected. Them drafting a running back. Any of their first 3 picks to me would blow me away.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see somebody in the 6th or 7th round. And then maybe that is Jaden Blue, because he was not even the primary guy at Tech. He was like a
right. Well, because he fumbled the ball like every 20 times he touched the football.
So a flyer on somebody, but like someone to play, no way. Like we said, like a 3rd or a 4th round pick. We don't have a 3rd, but someone early enough, like duplicating what they did with Ray Davis. They're not doing that again. Because they just did that last year, and all the chairs are full, unless there's a problem with Cook.
Or they want to get ahead of it, and they decide to do the A.J. Brown trade at running back, which is we're just going to trade him on draft day and immediately spend the pick on his replacement.
Okay.
That did not go well for the Titans. In fact, it's like the worst trade that's been made in 5 years. But what did they do on that night? They said, we don't want to pay him, so let's trade him on draft night, and then we'll immediately spend the pick we got and use it on a wide receiver. They could say that, like, hey, Dallas is calling, and they want to give us a 3rd-round pick right now. I think even I've heard you guys use that exact round.
I sprint to say yes to that.
And you say yes, and then you just spend that exact pick on a running back.
Yeah. I would do that.
Is always why I can't see a team making that offer, with the same sort of enthusiasm for accepting it.
I think you need a dumb team.
They're out
probably.
there.
You picked the right one.
Yeah.
I think.
I think so too. Yeah.
Chris Collinsworth has weighed in on who his favorite player in the draft at receiver is. Okay, his favorite receiver in the draft is Burden.
Luther Burden?
Yes. McMillan is interesting. We've got a couple minutes.
Whoa.
What? Something else?
There's news, yes. Adam Schefter, 19 seconds ago, Trey White is back. The Bills and Trey White reached agreement today on a 1-year deal worth up to $6.8 million per his agents. I won't read their names, like Schefter feels so gratuitously to put them in there. Anyway, Tre'Davious White's back on the Bills.
Up to $6.8 million?
Up to, right.
Yeah.
What does it go down to?
That's a better question, because him making $6.8 million seems insane
He's
to
got
me after last season. But
that's got
up
to be
to
playing time and snaps and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
He's got to meet the physical, the threshold here.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he was a very popular player, needless to say.
Yeah.
So it's cool.
Cool story. Glad he's back. It doesn't change anything at all about the draft for me. That corner, obviously, if that needs to be said.
Yeah, that's how I'd probably look at it, too. Started to say quickly, Tet McMillan, who is the betting favorite, not including Hunter, to be the first receiver drafted. There is a community of analysts that really don't love this player. And there's a couple of things he said along the way about working out and stuff that maybe make it a little bit not ominous. A lot of people really like him, too, like an elite possession receiver. But I was listening to Establish the Run today that Evan Silva's on that. Evan mocked Luther Burden to the Bills. And one of the other hosts, Anthony Amico, brought up maybe McMillan falls to 30. Somebody who's spending a lot of time analyzing the markets and just what people expect to have happen in the draft. So I guess that's not impossible that it could even be McMillan.
They'd have a decision to make. I don't believe he is what I'm talking about a downfield speed receiver at all.
Big.
Yeah.
Possession.
He feels like, he's
don't want to go with lumbering? No, that's overstating it. That's overstating it.
He was kind of slow when he ran, but...
Yeah. He would be a better version, I would hope, of what this is already, but I feel like you're drafting another version of Keon Coleman.
A much better Coleman.
Yeah.
Well, if you're in on receiver, maybe that's not completely out of the realm. All right, Joe. Any questions for us?
We're not going to do Sabres pregame. That's what I thought I was coming in for here. 6 o'clock on a game night.
Brian and Paul are ready to take over for us.
As it happens, the season finale, the pregame got cut in half. That says something about the season.
I thought we were going to have fan appreciation night flyer memories.
I do have a hat I could give away.
I have one. It's probably the most emotional I've ever been in the building. Was this night in 2011.
Regular season or in general?
Ever. Maybe.
Wow.
It felt so good. The team was purchased. It was time for Stanley Cups. Money was no object. A push to the playoffs out of nowhere. All the alumni on the ice. Gerby behind the back. The Vanek winner.
Spinorama, to be exact.
Yeah,
yes.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, incredible night. And to think that nothing has happened since to come remotely close.
Nothing.
We'll leave it at that. Pre-game is next for Sabres Flyers. Thank you, Joe. Thanks to Jeremy, Sal, and Nate as well for joining us today on our annual NFL pre